Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In this lecture, I'll talk about Al-Hadith al-Mutawatir, a hadith that's been narrated on a wide scale through different chains of narration. What is the definition of Hadith al-Mutawatir, and what are the criteria? If met, a hadith would be mutawatir. Also, we'll underline the fact the hadith that's mutawatir always conveys certitude in regards to its content. And also, inshallah, we will underline the fact that many scholars of the Umari faith who enjoy a very lofty and respected position have issued fatwa and decrees that the intentional denial of a mutawatir hadith, to reject a hadith that's mutawatir while one knows that it is mutawatir, this amounts to apostasy or kufr, being outside the bounds of Islam. And this is a very important discussion because many ahadith which are narrated from the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and they signify the importance of the position of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wassalam, their infallibility, the obligation to follow them, to obey them, and the prohibition to disobey them, and that they are the teachers of this ummah, and that they enjoy the same position as the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam in many respects, especially so in belief, in iman in them, and following them. They, such as Hadith al-Thaqalain, such as Hadith al-Manzila, such as the verse of Tathir was revealed about Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wassalam, they have been narrated on a scale that's easily to be proved to be mutawatir. What is a mutawatir hadith? If a hadith has so many different chains of narration, has been narrated on the authority of several Sahaba, companions of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and several other tabi'een, the generation after Sahaba, have narrated from them, and then the following generation likewise, until the books of hadith were compiled and written. So let's say between the time of Hafiz Abdul Razak al-San'ani, or Ma'mar ibn Rashid al-Azdi, or Malik ibn Anas, the author of Al-Muwatta, or if we come later to the 3rd century, scholars such as Bukhari and Muslim and the like, between their generation and the generation of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in each generation there were so many people narrating this hadith that generally it would be impossible that they had conspired to lie, that they had conspired to falsify something on the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Therefore, a mutawatir hadith would be a hadith that's narrated widely in each generation of narrators, so much so per this explanation, a mutawatir hadith is a hadith that's been narrated widely, and different people in different localities have narrated the same event or the same action or the same saying of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and it has been narrated so widely and it's so well known that it would be impossible that one would suggest that all of these people have conspired to lie or to falsify something against the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. This is the book of Nuzhatun Nazar fi Tawdih Nukhbat al-Fikr fi Mustalah Ahl al-Athar, a book that has been written in order to explain the terminology of the sciences of hadith by the towering figure in the Umari faith, and especially so a towering figure in the field of study of ahadith, Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, the author of Fath al-Bari and the author of Al-Isaba fi Ma'rifat al-Sahaba, and the author of Al-Matalib al-Aliyya, and many other very important books in the field of study of ahadith. At this book, at page number 37, this respected scholar gives a definition of Hadith al-Mutawatir. he explains that al-hadith al-mutawatir, just as I mentioned before, is a hadith that its asanid are many, that and different ways of transmission, different channels of transmission have are there that have narrated this hadith from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani underlines that فلا معنى لتعيين العدد على الصحيح. Hafiz ibn Hajar underscores that in order for hadith to be widely narrated, there is no set number of narrators. As long as we can infer that the number is sufficient for this purpose, that it would be impossible for these number of people to conspire to lie, if that satisfaction is afforded by, let's say, 5 Sahaba, then be it. If that number is satisfied by 6 Sahaba, or 7 Sahaba, or 8 Sahaba, Sahaba meaning companions of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then let it be so. However, we cannot quantify a number for this. Luckily, the book of Nuzhatun Nazar of Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani has been translated into English by a fellow by the name of Author Shahbaz Hussain, who has translated this book and studied this book as his thesis to the University of Birmingham to obtain his PhD. And this book has been published by University of Birmingham. Let's go to page number 57. Either the khabar has many paths, but without a specific number. Rather, experience makes it impossible for them to collude on a lie. Additionally, it's impossible to occur coincidentally and intentionally. According to the correct position, there is no requirement in specifying the number. Amongst them are those who have specified 4, 5, 7, 10. Here, let's go to page number 60. Perhaps in his commentary, the translator will make it easier to understand what Ibn Hajar says. Commentary. Ibn Hajar offers his definition of mutawatir. How does he translate it? Multiply, attested. Okay. Which literally means widespread. 4 principal conditions of mutawatir are identified. Firstly, the number of transmitters forms the primary element of mutawatir hadith. That the tradition, and that is important, that's very primary component for a hadith to be mutawatir. The primary tradition must be reported by such a large number that realistically speaking, it would have been impossible for all these transmitters to have colluded on a lie, or that they all coincidentally happened to narrate a traditional correctly. However, this actual number is left ambiguous and subjective, as Ibn Hajar offers no definitive opinion of how many transmitters must appear in each generation for the tradition to be labeled as mutawatir. Rather, he cites different opinions on the matter. Hafiz ibn Hajar narrates different opinions from other scholars who have said 5 people who should have narrated it, 10 people, 7 people, 8 people, different numbers. But, however, the widespread belief and the most commonly accepted criterion for hadith to be mutawatir is that as long as the number is sufficient to satisfy this feeling that it would have been impossible for these people to conspire and collude on a lie, or to have accidentally, all of them have said the same matter by accident. Then the translator and commentator of this work mentions the other conditions of a hadith to be mutawatir. Secondly, and importantly, this large number must be found in all generations, which we explained earlier. Thirdly, the person must have seen or heard the event. In other words, this cannot be his opinion. He should report his observation. His is observation. Something he heard, something he saw, and he's reporting that this is the fact that I saw. If he's narrating his opinion, and then that would not be a hadith, that would not be a mutawatir khabar, a mutawatir hadith. And finally, the last one, the hadith gives the listener the benefit of knowledge. That means it conveys certitude. This is the book of Minhaj al-Wusul ila Ilm al-Usul, the authorship of very famous Umari scholar of his time, Abdullah ibn Umar al-Baydawi, who was also a great mufassir, died at the year 685 after the hijrah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. This is a very important book in the ilm of usul, the science of usul al-fiqh, and the Umari faith. Page number 74. Chapter 2, pertaining to prepositions and statements that are definitely true. One of those statements that is definitely true, as-sabi' al-mutawatir, a statement that has been narrated on such a wide scale. That is, it is mutawatir. وهو خبر بلغت رواته في الكثرة مبلغا أحالت العادة تواطؤهم على الكذب. A mutawatir is a narration that its narrators are so many that it would be impossible generally and ordinarily it would be impossible that they would have conspired to lie. وفيه مسائل الأولى أنه يفيد العلم مطلقا. A number of subjects have to be described about a hadith or narration that is mutawatir. First, it always conveys certitude. Certitude in comparison to conjecture or surmise when you think something might be true but you're not very sure. No, when a narration is mutawatir, is widely reported, then you would have certitude. Mutlaqa, absolutely. Regardless if this report is with respect to something in the present or it pertains to something in the past. Something that was existent before and no longer exists, or something that continues to exist. It does not matter. As long as it's been widely reported by so many different people that generally they would not conspire and collude to lie, then it would convey certitude. الثانية, second, when a hadith is mutawatir, it conveys certitude. In other words, you become sure, you become certain, you become definite about its content. وَلَا حَاجَةَ إِلَى نَظَرٍ, and there would be no need for inference. Another means to think, to infer, to evaluate. So he says that when a hadith is mutawatir, it conveys certainty about its content, because the people who are narrating, they are reporting something that they saw, something they heard. Maybe we need to think what that they heard means. However, the fact that this has been said, these words or these actions have been carried out by the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If the hadith is reported about the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then those things would not need any cogitation, any thinking, or any evaluation. الثالثة, the third issue, he says that the condition and the stipulation for a hadith to be mutawatir is that the reporter must have heard it, must have seen it. That is, in other words, the narrator should be narrating a fact, not an opinion. If he is reporting his observation, what he saw, what he heard, then if it's reported on the scale of tawatur, as a mutawatir khabar, on a wide scale basis, then it would convey certitude and convey definiteness about its content. However, if he is reporting his opinion, then his opinion could be wrong. It does not necessarily convey certitude. This is Al-Mahsul fi Usul al-Fiqh, written by a very influential and respected Ash'ari theologian, Muhammad ibn Umar al-Razi, very well known as Fakhr al-Razi. He was born and lived in Tehran, which was called Ray at that time, therefore his name Razi, and he spent a good portion of his life in Herat, and that's where he died. And he was a theologian of very high level in the Ash'ari order. In his authorships, his works, and his writing against the Hashawiyya, against the followers of Hadith, people who followed Ahmad ibn Hanbal and the like, were very, very influential and effective at his time. This is the fourth volume of this book, Page number 277. الباب الأول في التواتر. What is تواتر? فهو خبر أقوام بلغوا في الكثرة إلى حيث حصل العلم بقولهم. The definition of a mutawatir hadith, according to him, is a mutawatir hadith is a hadith that has been narrated by so many different people that their number is so many that one is satisfied with certainty about that this narration is true. At page number 230, المسألة الثالثة. المسألة الثالثة العلم الحاصل عقيب خبر التواتر ضروري وهو قول الجمهور. A narration that has been narrated on a mutawatir basis, it definitely, certainly conveys certitude. The knowledge that's acquired through a mutawatir narration is a knowledge that is definite, that is certitude, that is self-manifest and does not allow for any doubt. وهو قول الجمهور, and this is the theory that's accepted by the majority of scholars.